Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since the last video, but hey, summer season means less hockey for everybody. Now, as some of you may know, specifically those who are on the same forums as me and those who follow me on Facebook, you will know that for the next season I will be playing for a team that uses the Phoenix colors and jerseys. So, being the way that I am, I like to have my gear to match, so I've got my jersey on the way. My mask is going to be getting redone, and today what we're going to be doing is using Padskinz to change the color of my pads from white with red and blue accents to white with only Phoenix red accents. This is the first time I'm using pad wrap, so we're going to see how easy it is, and hopefully you guys learn how to do it if you want to do it for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with my blocker as it's what I feel will be the easiest piece to do. And I just read the instructions and we're going to go step by step. First thing is going to be to clean the surface that is going to be receiving the Padskinz. So I'm going to go and grab that product, clean this off, and then I'll be back for the next step. So there are a lot of products you can use to clean this. I just went with a watered down all-purpose cleaner, and it's more than enough to get all the dirt and grime off. And you want a greasy free finish so that the adhesive will stick on the best possible. So now I'm going to trace the first piece. And to do so, I'm actually going to use a piece of tape to hold this in place. Now, the piece of tape isn't mandatory, but it does make things a little bit easier to hold. I mean, we only have two hands, right? So what you're doing by having this is, or you could use a partner, but if you don't have a partner, at least with this, you get to have both your hands free to trace the shape. Now, I'm doing this with a pencil. You can do it with marker or whatever you want, really, because once you're done with the tracing paper, well, you're done, that's it. And I'm not going really precise because I am going to cut the piece a little bit longer and then use a very sharp carbon blade to cut off any excess on the outside. You can do the whole measure twice, cut once thing if you want. If you don't feel comfortable cutting once the stuff is on it, I don't have a problem with it, as I work with blades and excess cuts all the time on a daily basis. So now the trace is done, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the pieces and we'll be right back. Alright, so now we've got our first pieces cut. Because of the curve, I actually had to separate it into two pieces, just because it was like kind of folding over. So I'm going to start with this bottom piece. I'm just going to get rid of this little excess right here. And I'm going to peel the protective backing and we'll get started with it. This is a little bit like applying thick vinyl, so you really want to get your pressure and fingernails in the edges so that the creases are easily defined. I'm talking about things like this. If you are going to be doing the excess way of doing it like me, you're going to want to make sure that that's really in there. And even here, if there's a bit of an overlap, it's not really a big deal. You can always push it in. And I'd recommend to actually start with all the lower pieces. So this red strip is actually going to be on top. So that way, if it is a little bit, overlapped, at least it'll overlap over top of it and it'll fix that little gap. There we go, we got our first two pieces on. Now I'm going to get my knife and go cut the excess. Alright, so now I've got my carbon steel blade, brand new one so that the edge is sharp. And this corner is alright. Just gonna slowly work my way from here. Because the adhesive is still fresh, should peel off quite easily. Now, is it a perfect cut? No. But does it really matter? No, it doesn't. This thing is made to stop pucks, not be a work of art. I just wanted it to match colors. So I'm going to cut this other piece and then we'll move along to covering the red part up. There we go, there was our first piece completed. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest and we'll see how this ends up. And that's pretty much it. I can take care of the logos after, but for now this is where we're going. And now that it's all said and done, here we have the finished result. It may not be perfect like if it was factory made, but from a few inches or feet away, there's absolutely no way to tell. Alright, so I just finished up doing my pads. It took me about 2 hours. The product was relatively easy to use, even though it was my first time. For someone who's going to have a little bit more experience, it is going to go a lot quicker. I wasn't too sure how to go about certain pieces, but if this is your first time, I'd recommend using the tracing paper and cut a little bit larger than what you actually trace, and then trim it down with a blade or a knife at the end. The reason why I recommend this is you may trace in a certain way, but the pad has some shapes and angles to it that aren't easy to trace on a flat piece of paper. So you're going to have to play with the product a little bit to apply it right. And it's always better to have a little extra than not have enough, and then you see colors showing through. So with that said, I think the product is fantastic. It cost me all of $50 to completely change the colors of my pads. There's really no negatives to it other than it's not professional. But even at that, I mean, some top level NHL hockey players use this stuff, so there's really no downside to using Padskinz. So definitely a thumbs up from me.